When I was reborn, the very first thing I did was secretly move my parents' grave and replace it with the ashes of a stray dog. Not only that, but I also poured manure on the grave, because in my previous life, my boyfriend's childhood sweetheart had asked to accompany him to pay respects to my parents. I thought it was a kind gesture at the time, but from that day onward, misfortune clung to me like a shadow. Meanwhile, Sierra Winthrop seemed to ride a wave of endless good luck. She landed a top job, won $1 million lottery prize, and eventually, I died from a mysterious illness. After death, my soul lingered in the mortal world, hovering around my boyfriend. I overheard Sierra giggling softly, flirting shamelessly with him. "Thanks to your dead girlfriend," she whispered sweetly. "I swapped lives with her. She had no idea how good she had it. But now that we've switched fates, everything that was hers belongs to me." Hearing those words, I had wanted nothing more than to drag them both to hell with me. But then I opened my eyes and found myself back in the past. It was the very same day Sierra asked to pay her respects to my parents. "Ivana, is this where uncle and auntie are buried?" she asked, her voice laced with gentle curiosity as her eyes swept over the grave. I nodded. "Yes, my parents are buried here." The moment Sierra heard that, a flicker of light passed through her eyes. She bowed gracefully before the gravestone. "My sister, Ivana Smith, may I burn some paper money for uncle and auntie too?" she asked. "That's exactly what I was thinking," she added with a smile. In my past life, her words touched me, but now, I knew better. When she said she wanted to burn some paper, what she really meant was that she was going to steal my fortune. This time, I coldly refused. "There's no need, Sierra. These are my parents. Only I can burn paper money for them sincerely." Her expression faltered. She turned to Lucas Blackwood, my boyfriend, with a look full of wounded innocence. "Lucas, I just wanted to show my respect. I didn't mean anything else," she said softly. "Ivana," Lucas cut in. "Sierra is just being considerate. How can you refuse her like that?" I looked at the two of them and sneered inwardly. "If you're so eager to burn it, go ahead," I said, my tone cold and dismissive. The moment the words left my mouth, Sierra cast a meaningful glance at Lucas. He caught the signal and turned to me. "Ivana, how about we go buy a bouquet of flowers for uncle and auntie?" He had done the same thing in my previous life. While I was gone, distracted by his fake sentiment, Sierra had already finished her ritual, taking what was never hers. Back then, when I returned and asked what she had burned, she seemed flustered, but I didn't think much of it. Not until I was dead did I realize what she had truly done, stolen the fortune my parents left behind to protect me. But this time, I wouldn't stop her either, because the people buried in this grave weren't my parents. I had already moved their remains back to our hometown. The only people my parents ever needed to protect was me. As I walked away with Lucas, I saw Sierra pull a stack of yellow paper from her chest. She had even written her birth date in her own blood. I simply smiled and pretended not to notice. I turned my back to her and left. When Lucas and I returned with the bouquet, Sierra had already completed her ritual. She took the bouquet from my hands and beamed. "Ivana, I've already asked uncle and auntie to bless you." I gave her a faint smile, saying nothing. But as I looked into her eyes, gleaming with self-satisfaction, I couldn't help but let a knowing smile play on my lips. After parting ways with Lucas and Sierra, I headed straight to the hospital for a full medical checkup. The doctor told me I was perfectly healthy. Finally, I let out a sigh of relief. In my previous life, I had died from an unexplainable illness. But in this life, that fate would not repeat itself. When I returned home, I received a phone call. It was from the company I had always dreamed of joining, a top-secret organization at the highest level. They informed me I had passed the interview and was to report immediately. I stood frozen, shocked. In my past life, I never received this call. It was Sierra who had received an acceptance call from a major company on her way back from my parents' grave. But now, it was me. Since the company was based in another city, I immediately began packing. But just as I finished, Lucas appeared at my door. "Ivana, Sierra didn't receive her acceptance notice," he said, staring at me. "She's a little upset, so I'm going to comfort her." I smiled faintly. "All right, go ahead." He studied me for a moment before asking, "Ivana,